Inside every man, two fathers live, one who takes responsibility and one who runs from it. Life is a daily battle between these two, and every day you choose which father you become. If you want more powerful audiobooks like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Power Within Audio. Your support keeps this journey alive. Chapter 1. The father you choose to be. Every father is shaped by his decisions, not his circumstances. A man is not born a father. He becomes one. Some men become fathers the day a child is placed in their arms. Others become fathers slowly, through mistakes, learning, and intentional growth. And some men never truly become fathers at all, not because they couldn't, but because they never chose to. This is the truth most people run away from. Fatherhood is not an automatic title. It is a choice, a daily choice. Whether a man had a good childhood or a painful one, whether he grew up in love or in chaos, whether life treated him gently or harshly, none of these things decide the kind of father he becomes. His choices do. The myth of circumstances. When a man says, "I never had a father, that's why I struggle," he is telling a story that will only repeat itself if he lets it. But another man with the same past says, "I never had a father, that's why I will become everything I didn't get." Two men. Same wounds, completely different destinies. Why? Because one chooses to break the cycle while the other chooses to stay inside it. Children don't ask for a perfect dad, they just want a man who tries. The power of intention. Being a father starts with intention. It is your internal decision that says, "I will show up. I will love them even when I am tired. I will teach them what no one taught me. I will not let my past become their future." This intention becomes the compass that guides your actions, especially on the days when fatherhood feels heavy. Because it will. Every man who has ever tried to be a good father knows this truth. Fatherhood is beautiful, but it is not easy. But it becomes possible and powerful when a man chooses it. The weight of small decisions. Most fathers think their big decisions shape their child's life. But the truth is simpler and more difficult. Your small daily choices build the long-term character of your child. Choosing to listen instead of scrolling on your phone, choosing to teach instead of shouting, choosing to be patient instead of reacting in anger, choosing to sit with your child instead of sitting with your excuses, choosing to apologize instead of pretending you're always right. These moments seem small, but to a child, they are everything. Your child is watching how you live, not what you say. And one day, the man or woman they become will reflect the choices you made long before they understood them. Your shadow and your light. Every father carries two sides within him. His shadow, the parts of him shaped by fear, wounds, and ego, and his light, the parts shaped by love, strength, and self-awareness. Your shadow reacts, your light responds. Your shadow wants control, your light wants connection. Your shadow says, "They should respect me because I am the father." Your light says, "They will respect me because I show them how." Every day you choose which side they see. No man can be perfect, but every man can choose honesty over ego, patience over anger, responsibility over denial. Children don't need you to shine all the time. They need to know that even when your shadow shows, your light always returns. The father you become begins with the man you are. Before you can raise a child, you must raise yourself. If you are insecure, you will raise insecure children. If you are angry, your home will learn anger. If you are unstable, your children will walk on glass. If you are harsh with yourself, you will be harsh with them. But the opposite is also true. If you work on yourself, you teach them growth. If you learn emotional control, they learn calmness. If you build discipline, they learn structure. If you heal your past, you heal your lineage. Every improvement you make in yourself is a gift you give your children. You may not have chosen the man you were yesterday, but you can choose the father you become today. Presence over perfection. A good father is not the one who gets everything right. He is the one who refuses to walk away. A child does not remember the perfect days. They remember the days you were there, sitting on the floor playing, listening to their stories, laughing with them, showing up at their moments, teaching them small lessons, holding them when they are scared, encouraging them when they fail. Presence shapes confidence. Presence builds trust. Presence teaches love. A man who shows up imperfectly is better than a man who hides behind his excuses perfectly. The fork in the road. Every father reaches a moment, sometimes many, where he stands at a crossroads. One path is easy: anger, avoidance, blame, selfishness, distraction. The other path is difficult: patience, sacrifice, accountability, vulnerability. Bad fathers take the easy path. Good fathers take the right one, and this choice is never made once. It is made again and again every day. What children really want. Your children don't want a rich father. They want a present one. They don't want a father with all the answers. They want a father who listens. They don't want a father who looks perfect in public. They want a father who is real at home. They don't want a father who wins every argument. They want a father they feel safe losing around. They want the version of you who tries, who grows, who cares. A simple truth: you do not become a good father by accident. You become one by choice. And you do not become a bad father overnight. You become one through small, unchecked decisions. Your children don't need a superhero. They simply need the man who chooses them again and again, even on the days when it's hard. And that choice, that daily choice, is what truly shapes a father. Chapter 2. Responsibility versus excuses. A good dad owns his actions. A bad dad hides behind excuses. There is a moment in every father's life when he must face a simple, uncomfortable truth. You cannot lead a child if you cannot lead yourself. Responsibility is the foundation of fatherhood. Excuses are the cracks that break it apart. A responsible father says, "This is my duty." An excuse-making father says, "This is not my fault." One builds a home, the other breaks it. The difference between reasons and excuses: every father has problems. Every father feels tired. Every father has bad days, stress, fears, and pressure. But not every father uses those things as an excuse. There is a huge difference between a reason and an excuse. A reason explains your situation. An excuse justifies your inaction. Responsible fathers understand that life will never be perfect, but their children still need them. Excuse makers wait for ideal conditions that never come. A responsible dad says, "I'm tired, but I'm still here." An excuse-making dad says, "I'm tired, so don't bother me." The difference is not in the situation, the difference is in the choice. Why excuses destroy families: excuses do something dangerous. They make a man believe he is right even when he is wrong. A father who lives in excuses begins to think, "I shout because my job is stressful. I don't spend time with them because I'm busy. I don't apologize because I'm the father. I don't play with them because I'm tired. I'm not responsible for their behavior. My wife should handle that." Slowly, excuses build a wall between a father and his children. A father doesn't become distant in one day. He becomes distant through 1,000 excuses. And children learn something dangerous: that they cannot rely on him. Excuses steal trust. Responsibility builds it. Children do what you do, not what you say. A father who makes excuses teaches his children to do the same. If you blame others, they will blame others. If you avoid responsibility, they will avoid responsibility. If you make excuses for your behavior, they will make excuses for theirs. Children do not learn responsibility by hearing lectures. They learn responsibility by watching a father live it. When you forget something and say, "I'm sorry, that's my fault," you teach accountability. When you break something and say, "I'll fix it," you teach problem solving. When you fail and say, "I will try again," you teach resilience. Your responsibility becomes their inheritance. Your excuses become their weakness. The cost of avoiding responsibility: when a father runs from responsibility, someone else has to carry it. Often it is the mother. Sometimes it is the child. A child who grows up watching an irresponsible father learns to grow up too fast. They begin acting like the emotional adult in the house. This is unfair. This is damaging. This is avoidable. Children should not carry the emotional weight of a grown man. A child should not walk on eggshells because a father refuses to control his anger. A child should not feel ignored because a father refuses to manage his time. A child should not feel responsible for keeping the home calm because the father cannot handle stress. Irresponsibility does not disappear. It simply shifts onto someone smaller. The courage to say, "This is my fault," taking responsibility, is not easy. It requires courage. Many men avoid responsibility because admitting fault feels like weakness. But responsibility is strength, not weakness. Saying "I was wrong" does not make you less of a man. It makes you more of a father. Your children will remember the day you took responsibility far longer than the day you tried to look perfect. One of the strongest things a man can say to his child is, "I made a mistake and I'm going to fix it." This sentence builds trust. It teaches humility. It opens hearts. It sets an example. No father is perfect, but every father can be accountable. Your past is not a free pass. Many dads fall into the trap of using their past as an excuse. "My father never taught me this. I grew up with hardship. I can't do better. I wasn't shown love, so I don't know how to give it." Your past may explain you, but it should not define you. A good father understands that breaking generational cycles is his responsibility, not his child's. Your childhood was not your choice, but your fatherhood is. Responsibility creates stability. Children feel safest when they know their father keeps his word, their father shows up, their father handles problems instead of causing them, their father is emotionally steady, their father is consistent. Responsibility is not glamorous. It is not something people clap for, but it is the foundation of a stable life. A responsible father says, "I will do what needs to be done, even when no one thanks me." A father who consistently shows up will always be more valuable than a father who occasionally shows off. The three responsibilities. Every father has many duties, but there are three core responsibilities that shape everything else. 1. Responsibility for actions on your behavior. Control your words. Choose your reactions. Children forgive mistakes easily. They struggle to forgive excuses. 2. Responsibility for time. Your children need your presence more than your gifts. Time invested now becomes love remembered later. 3. Responsibility for growth. A father who stops growing stops leading. Learn, improve, listen, heal, evolve. When you grow, your family grows with you. The choice that defines you in every difficult moment. A father has two choices: take responsibility or make excuses. Responsibility requires effort. Excuses require nothing. Responsibility builds respect. Excuses destroy it. Responsibility strengthens relationships. Excuses weaken them. Responsibility leads to growth. Excuses lead to stagnation. A good father may fall, may fail, may struggle, but he always stands up and says, "I will do better. My family deserves that from me." A simple final truth: children do not need a flawless father. They need a responsible one. They need the man who admits his mistakes, who takes accountability, who shows up despite difficulties, who leads through action, and who never hides behind excuses. Responsibility is not something you feel. It is something you choose. And the father you become is shaped by whether you choose responsibility over excuses today and every day after. Chapter 3. Presence is power. Time is the most valuable gift a father can give. A child does not measure love in the way adults do. They don't count how many gifts you bought, how many bills you paid, or how many sacrifices you made in silence. They measure love in the simplest, purest way possible. Were you there? Your presence is the most powerful form of love a father can give. Not perfect presence, not constant presence, just genuine presence. Children remember moments, not money. A father may think his financial contributions define his worth. And yes, providing for your family is important, even noble. But children do not grow up recalling the price tag of their toys or the cost of their meals. They remember the times you listened, the times you played, the times you laughed, the times you encouraged them, the times you sat next to them when they were scared. A child's memory is built from moments, not money. A father who earns millions but is emotionally absent leaves a wound. A father who earns little but is emotionally present leaves a legacy. Presence builds security. Children look at their father for one thing above all: safety. Not the kind of safety that comes from locks and alarms, but the emotional safety that comes from knowing, "My dad is there. My dad will show up. My dad is with me." Presence creates stability, calmness, and trust. When a father is consistently present, a child develops confidence, emotional stability, resilience, the ability to form healthy relationships. But when a father is unpredictable, distant, or unavailable, a child learns insecurity, self-doubt, fear of abandonment, attachment issues. A present father gives his child the courage to face the world. An absent father forces the child to face the world alone. The myth of quality time. The world often says, "You don't need quantity time, just quality time." But children do not understand this concept. Quality time cannot be scheduled. Quality time happens inside quantity time. You do not know which moment will become the memory your child holds forever. It might be a random car drive, a silly joke, a conversation before bedtime, a quick hug, a moment of encouragement, a small shared meal, a walk together. If a father only shows up in rare, planned, special moments, he may miss the moments that matter most. A child's heart opens in the ordinary, not just the extraordinary. Presence versus proximity. Many fathers live in the same house as their children but are emotionally missing. Proximity is physical. Presence is emotional. You can be sitting next to your child while being miles away in your mind because of your phone, your stress, or your distractions. A present father listens, pays attention, makes eye contact, responds, patiently shows interest. An absent father in the same room scrolls his phone, ignores conversation, reacts with irritation, avoids connection. Children know the difference. They can feel when your body is there, but your heart is somewhere else. Your presence builds their identity. Children learn who they are through the eyes of their father. When a father is present, a child learns, I matter. I am loved. I am worth someone's time. But when a father is absent, a child silently wonders, why wasn't I enough? This question follows many children into adulthood. It affects their relationships, their confidence, their choices, and sometimes their entire future. Your presence doesn't just shape their childhood, it shapes the voice inside their head for life. Moments you don't realize matter. The moments that impact your child the most are often the ones you don't even notice. When you sit beside them quietly, when you put your hand on their shoulder, when you cheer for them, when you lower your voice, instead of raising it, when you choose to listen instead of lecture, when you choose patience instead of anger, these seemingly small moments become emotional anchors. Years later, your child may remember a single sentence you said on a random day, a sentence that shaped who they became. You never know when your presence becomes their turning point. Being busy is not the problem, being unavailable is. Many fathers worry. I work long hours. I'm afraid I'm not doing enough. Working hard is not failure. Working hard is honorable. The real issue is not busyness. It is emotional unavailability. If a father comes home tired but still listens, still smiles, still gives a few minutes with genuine attention, he gives more than the father who spends the entire day with his child but never truly connects. Presence is not measured in hours. It is measured in intention. Even 10 minutes of full attention is worth more than 2 hours of distracted silence. The cost of absence. A father who is present gives his child confidence. A father who is absent leaves behind questions. Absence makes a child wonder, is something wrong with me? Why doesn't he care? Why am I not important? What did I do wrong? Children blame themselves for their father's absence, even when it's not their fault. A father's silence becomes the child's self-doubt. A father's absence becomes the child's wounds. A father's emotional distance becomes the child's lifelong insecurity. The pain of an absent father echoes through generations, unless someone decides to break the pattern. How presence fixes what words cannot. A present father can heal wounds he never caused. He can strengthen strengths he did not create. He can build confidence in a child simply by showing up. Presence teaches things words cannot. How to love, how to be patient, how to handle stress, how to treat others, how to respect boundaries, how to handle conflict, how to be gentle. While being strong, children learn from your presence far more than your explanations. The gift that costs nothing. Presence is the only gift that costs no money, requires no talent, needs no perfect timing, leaves no expiration date, and it leaves behind the richest memories. A child never forgets the father who stayed. They never forget the father who cared. They never forget the father who sat beside them. They never forget the father who listened. Presence is love in its purest form. Final truth: a father's presence is a child's first home. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to fix every problem. You only need to show up with intention, with love, and with consistency. Because presence is power, and a present father is a child's greatest source of strength. Chapter 4. Anger doesn't make you strong. Explosive anger exposes weakness, not strength. For generations, men have been taught a lie: that anger is authority, that loudness is leadership, and that shouting creates respect. But anger does not make a man powerful. Anger makes a man unpredictable. A truly strong father is not the one whose family fears him, but the one whose family feels safe with him. Explosive anger does not show dominance, it reveals a lack of control. It does not show strength, it exposes insecurity. And children are the ones who suffer the most from a father who cannot manage his emotions. Anger is not the problem, lack of control is. Every man feels anger. Anger is a human emotion, not a flaw. But anger becomes dangerous when it turns into shouting, threats, insults, slamming doors, silent withdrawal, emotional intimidation. These reactions do not solve problems. They simply create fear. A father does not lose his family because he feels anger. He loses them because he does not control it. A man who cannot control his temper cannot lead his home. Children, remember your reactions, not your reasons. You may justify your anger with 1,000 reasons. I was stressed. I had a bad day. They weren't listening. Everyone was getting on my nerves. But your child won't remember any of those reasons. They will only remember how you made them feel. They remember the fear in their chest, the tension in the room, the way your voice changed the moment they felt unsafe, the confusion of why is dad so mad? Your moment of anger becomes their lifelong memory, and sometimes their lifelong scar. Yelling does not create respect. Many fathers believe raising their voice is the only way to gain obedience. But yelling does not create respect. It creates fear, resentment, emotional distance, anxiety, withdrawal. Your child may obey in the moment, but only because they are scared, not because they understand. Fear-based obedience disappears as soon as they grow old enough to fight back or walk away. A father who shouts may control behavior temporarily, but a father who communicates calmly shapes character permanently. Anger shows the weakest version of you when a father explodes. He reveals his lack of emotional regulation, his inability to handle stress, his wounded ego, his unhealed past, his fear of losing control. Anger is often a mask for deeper pain. Pain that was never addressed. Wounds that were never healed. Expectations that were never communicated. Explosive anger is a sign of a man who is overwhelmed and underhealed. Strength is not in the explosion. Strength is in the self-control that prevents it. The damage anger does to children. Anger in the home affects a child far more than adults realize. A child who grows up around explosive anger may experience low confidence, difficulty expressing emotions, fear of authority, anxiety or nervousness, people-pleasing behavior, anger issues of their own, emotional shutdown, fear of sharing mistakes, feeling never good enough. A father's outbursts teach a dangerous belief. Love is unstable. Love can turn into danger at any minute. This belief can follow a child for a lifetime into friendships, relationships, and even their own parenting. Breaking the cycle of anger, many men learned anger from their fathers. They grew up watching shouting, tension, and fear. They grew up thinking this is normal, but this is where a new kind of father must rise. A father who says, I will not let my childhood control my children's childhood. I will end the cycle, not repeat it. I will give my children peace, not fear. Breaking generational patterns is not easy. It requires awareness, humility, and change. But it is possible, and it begins with intention. Anger is usually about something else. Most explosions of anger are not caused by children. They are triggered by stress the father never processed. Work pressure, financial stress, insecurity, unresolved trauma, lack of rest, feeling unappreciated, frustration with himself, overwhelming responsibility. A father may say, you made me angry, but often the truth is, I did not manage my emotions. Understanding the root of your anger is the first step to controlling it. Strength looks like calm. The strongest fathers are not the loudest. They are the calmest. Calmness is discipline. Calmness is emotional maturity. Calmness is leadership. Calmness is safety. When a father stays calm, children feel secure. Arguments de-escalate, respect increases, communication becomes clearer, mistakes become learning moments. A calm man is in control of his world. An angry man is controlled by it. Practicing emotional control. Emotional control is a skill. You are not born with it, you develop it. Here are simple steps that help. 1. Pause before reacting. A few seconds of silence can prevent minutes of regret. 2. Lower your voice intentionally. A calm voice creates instant safety. Children listen more to quiet than they do to shouting. 3. Walk away if needed. Leaving the room is better than losing control. 4. Apologize when you make mistakes. This does not weaken your authority, it strengthens your humanity. 5. Communicate. Don't explode. Explain what upset you. Explain what behavior you want. Explain why it matters. Guidance works better than punishment. What children learn from a calm father. A calm father teaches his children how to regulate emotions, how to handle conflict, how to communicate respectfully, how to manage stress, how to stay grounded, how to choose patience, how to remain strong without being violent. Your emotional control becomes their emotional blueprint. They learn how to respond to life by watching how you respond to them. A final truth: anger does not make you strong. Control does. Shouting does not make you respected. Consistency does. Fear does not make you a leader. Love does. A father who manages his emotions gives his children a home of safety, connection, and peace. And in that peace, they grow into confident, emotionally healthy adults. Chapter 5. Leading by example. Children don't follow advice, they copy behavior. A father's words may echo for a moment, but his actions echo for a lifetime. You can lecture a child 1,000 times, repeat the same lessons every morning, or fill their ears with endless rules. But in the end, they absorb what they see, not what they hear. A dad's true influence does not come from instructions. It comes from demonstration. Every father, whether he realizes it or not, is always teaching. Not in the moments he chooses, but in the moments he doesn't. Not when he sits down for a serious talk, but when he is simply living. Your habits become your child's blueprint. Your reactions become their emotional language. Your standards become the boundaries they carry into adulthood. Your life is the silent classroom they never leave. Children walk in the footprints you leave behind. A good father understands that little eyes are always watching. They watch how he talks to their mother. They watch how he handles stress. They observe how he treats strangers, how he manages anger, how he speaks the truth even when it is difficult. A child is like a camera, always recording and replaying. If a dad screams, they learn that rage is a tool. If he lies, they learn that dishonesty is acceptable. If he blames others, they learn that responsibility is optional. If he quits easily, they learn that weakness is normal. But if a father keeps his promises, even when tired, if he works hard without complaining, if he apologizes when wrong, if he speaks with respect, even when frustrated, if he treats others with compassion, if he keeps his word, then a child learns something far more powerful than any lecture. They learn what character looks like in action. Your life is the mirror they use to see themselves. A father's behavior doesn't just teach lessons, it shapes identity. A boy looks at his father and thinks, "This is who I should become." A girl looks at her father and thinks, "This is how a man should treat me." A father who leads by example does more than raise children. He raises future men and women who know their worth. When a daughter sees her father treat her mother with kindness, loyalty, and patience, her heart is quietly programmed to expect the same. She grows up refusing disrespect because her father's example taught her she deserves more. When a son watches his father wake up early, work hard, stay humble, and handle problems calmly, he doesn't need lectures about discipline. He is already learning what strength looks like. Advice is noise. Example is proof. Children have built-in hypocrisy detectors. You can tell them, respect others, but if they hear you insult people, your advice becomes empty. You can tell them, control your temper, but if you explode at home, your words collapse. You can tell them, be honest, but if you lie in front of them, even small lies, they notice. You can tell them, work hard, but if you're lazy, they see the contradiction. Children don't follow unproven advice. They follow demonstrated truth. Even adults are this way. We follow leaders who live their message, not those who merely preach. Children are no different. They require consistency between your words and actions. A father's behavior is the most persuasive argument he will ever make. Your weak moments teach more than your strong ones. Many fathers think they must be perfect. They believe showing weakness will reduce their authority, but children don't need perfect fathers. They need honest ones. A perfect father is imaginary. A present and authentic father is powerful. Children learn a lot when they watch a dad succeed, but they learn even more when they watch him fail honorably. They learn resilience when he falls but gets back up. They learn accountability when he makes a mistake and owns it. They learn humility when he apologizes sincerely. They learn courage when he confronts his flaws instead of hiding them. A father who tries to look flawless teaches his child to hide their failures, but a father who admits his mistakes teaches his child to grow from theirs. Leading by example doesn't mean being perfect. It means being real, consistently, honestly, courageously real. Your relationships become their relationship guide. Your child learns how to love by watching you love, how to communicate by watching you communicate, how to handle conflict by watching how you handle yours. If you yell, they learn yelling. If you give silent treatment, they learn avoidance. If you solve problems with calm respect, they learn healthy communication. Your home becomes their emotional training ground. One day they will repeat your patterns in their friendships, in their relationships, in their marriage, and eventually with their own children. Your behavior today becomes your grandchild's inheritance tomorrow. The most powerful leaders lead without announcing it. A father who leads by example doesn't need to constantly remind his children, "I told you to do this. Do what I say. Listen to me. I'm your father." He doesn't use authority to control. He uses integrity to inspire. Children respect a father who lives his values more than one who demands obedience. Influence built on force is temporary. Influence built on example is permanent. Your consistency becomes your authority. Your character becomes your influence. Your actions become your message. Small daily behaviors that shape a child forever. You don't need big speeches to teach life lessons. You need small, repeated habits. Saying please and thank you, keeping your promises, controlling your temper, showing patience, speaking respectfully, working diligently, treating people kindly, reading instead of wasting hours, listening instead of interrupting, showing up on time, taking responsibility. These tiny actions, done consistently, shape a child's worldview. Not with noise, but with clarity. not with warnings, but with wisdom. Your example outlives you long after a father is gone. His example stays alive in the way his children live, love, work, speak, and handle their own challenges. A good father doesn't just raise children. He raises future adults equipped to build strong families, stable relationships, and a meaningful life. A father's true legacy is not his money, his house, or his achievements. It is the character he demonstrated daily. Your children will forget your words. They will never forget your example. And the greatest gift a father can give is this, a life worth copying. Chapter 6, Love that Sets Boundaries. True love includes discipline, structure, and guidance. Most people misunderstand love. They confuse love with softness, love with indulgence, love with letting things slide. They believe love means saying yes, avoiding conflict, or protecting a child from discomfort. But real love is not weak. Real love is not silent. Real love is not afraid to correct. True love has a backbone. True love creates safety. True love builds a child's future, not their temporary happiness. The fathers who love deeply understand something essential. A house without boundaries raises children without direction. Boundaries are not walls, they are roadmaps. They don't limit a child, they guide a child. They don't suppress them, they shape them. A father who sets boundaries is not being strict, he is being responsible. Children feel the deepest love through structure. Children may resist rules, but they crave structure. Structure gives them a sense of safety, predictability, and clarity. It tells them, you matter. Your actions matter. Your future matters. I care too much to let you go wild. A child without boundaries grows up confused. They cannot differentiate between right and wrong, between freedom and chaos, between choices and consequences. Their world becomes a place where anything goes, and that lack of direction becomes dangerous. A father's role is not to be a friend. It is to be a leader. Children eventually outgrow their need for toys, help with homework, or being carried, but they never outgrow the impact of a father who gave their life structure. Love without discipline is neglect in disguise. Many fathers avoid setting boundaries because they want to be liked by their kids. They fear conflict. They don't want to be the bad guy. They want peace even at the cost of discipline. But a father who refuses to correct a child is not being kind. He is being careless. Children who grow up without discipline pay the price in adulthood. They struggle with authority. They run from responsibility. They fail to control impulses. They take the easy way out. They crumble under pressure. A good father knows temporary discomfort is better than long-term damage. Saying no is an act of love when the yes would lead to harm. Boundaries teach responsibility and respect. A father who sets clear rules teaches his children how life works. He teaches them every choice has consequences. Freedom comes with responsibility. Discipline is not punishment. It is preparation. Respect is not demanded. It is earned. Self-control builds character. A child learns to respect others by being taught to respect the rules at home. A child learns patience by waiting their turn. A child learns humility by being corrected. A child learns courage by facing consequences. Every boundary is a little life lesson disguised as a house rule. Discipline is not anger. Discipline is guidance. Many fathers confuse discipline with punishment. They respond to misbehavior with rage instead of rationality. But discipline delivered in anger is not love. It is emotional release for the parent. True discipline is calm, clear, consistent. It does not shame. It does not humiliate. It does not instill fear. It teaches. It guides. It corrects with compassion. When a father uses discipline wisely, the child does not think, "My dad hates me." They think, "My dad cares too much to let me fail." A father's goal is not to control his child, but to teach them how to control themselves. Structure builds strength. Think of a tree. A tree will not grow straight without a stake to support it in the early stages. Without support, it bends in the direction of every wind. It becomes crooked, unstable, and vulnerable. Children are the same. Boundaries are the stake. Structure is the support. Guidance is the nourishment. Eventually, the stake is removed, but by then the tree stands tall on its own. A father who disciplines is not limiting his child. He is strengthening the roots that will one day hold them up. The balance, firm but loving. A father must master the art of being firm without being harsh and loving without being lenient. It is a balance that defines strong parenting. Too strict and a child becomes fearful. Too soft and a child becomes aimless. True fatherly love walks the line in the middle. A good father says, "I'm here for you, but I won't let you destroy yourself. I love you unconditionally, but I will correct you when needed. You can trust me, but you cannot manipulate me. I will guide you even if you don't like it today. Children might resist boundaries in the moment, but they return to them for security again and again. Boundaries build confidence. Most people imagine that freedom builds confidence, but true confidence comes from control, not chaos. A child becomes confident when they can regulate emotions, delay gratification, make responsible choices, accept consequences, follow through on commitments. These skills are developed through structured parenting, not indulgent parenting. A father who sets limits is not restricting his child's growth. He is enabling it. Love without boundaries creates adults who struggle. A child who grows up without structure becomes an adult who has poor self-control, avoids responsibility, seeks instant gratification, lacks discipline, struggles in relationships, blames others for mistakes, collapses under pressure. Boundaries today prevent suffering tomorrow. A father's leadership doesn't show its results immediately. It shows up years later, when the child enters the world and realizes, "My dad prepared me for this." The greatest proof of love, saying no when needed. Children only see boundaries as restrictions, but adults look back and see them as protection. No is a powerful word. It is not the opposite of love. It is an expression of love. Love says, "No, because I want you safe. No, because your future matters. No, because I care enough to correct you. No, because I refuse to watch you self-destruct." A father who cannot say no is not loving. He is abandoning his responsibility. A father's guidance outlives his lifetime. A father who sets boundaries creates children who respect themselves, respect others, make wise decisions, avoid harmful paths, build strong relationships, live with discipline and purpose. The boundaries he sets become their inner voice. The structure he provides becomes their life direction. The discipline he instills becomes their future strength. Long after a father is gone, his boundaries remain alive inside the heart of the child. True love leaves behind guidance, not just memories. True love prepares a child for life, not just for childhood. True love builds not just happy children, but stable adults. And every boundary you set today is a brick in the foundation of your child's future. Chapter 7. Heal the man, heal the father. A broken man struggles to raise whole children. Every father carries a past. Some carry pain. Some carry wounds. Some carry memories they never speak about. But whether acknowledged or Chapter 4, anger doesn't make you strong. Explosive anger exposes weakness, not strength. For generations, men have been taught a lie, that anger is authority, that loudness is leadership, and that shouting creates respect. But anger does not make a man powerful. Anger makes a man unpredictable. A truly strong father is not the one whose family fears him, but the one whose family feels safe with him. Explosive anger does not show dominance. It reveals a lack of control. It does not show strength. It exposes insecurity. And children are the ones who suffer the most from a father who cannot manage his emotions. Anger is not the problem. Lack of control is. Every man feels anger. Anger is a human emotion, not a flaw. But anger becomes dangerous when it turns into shouting, threats, insults, slamming doors, silent withdrawal, emotional intimidation. These reactions do not solve problems. They simply create fear. A father does not lose his family because he feels anger. He loses them because he does not control it. A man who cannot control his temper cannot lead his home. Children, remember your reactions, not your reasons. You may justify your anger with 1,000 reasons. I was stressed. I had a bad day. They weren't listening. Everyone was getting on my nerves. But your child won't remember any of those reasons. They will only remember how you made them feel. They remember the fear in their chest, the tension in the room, the way your voice changed the moment they felt unsafe, the confusion of why is dad so mad? Your moment of anger becomes their lifelong memory, and sometimes their lifelong scar. Yelling does not create respect. Many fathers believe raising their voice is the only way to gain obedience. But yelling does not create respect. It creates fear, resentment, emotional distance, anxiety, withdrawal. Your child may obey in the moment, but only because they are scared, not because they understand. Fear-based obedience disappears as soon as they grow old enough to fight back or walk away. A father who shouts may control behavior temporarily, but a father who communicates calmly shapes character permanently. Anger shows the weakest version of you. When a father explodes, he reveals his lack of emotional regulation, his inability to handle stress, his wounded ego, his unhealed past, his fear of losing control. Anger is often a mask for deeper pain. Pain that was never addressed. Wounds that were never healed. Expectations that were never communicated. Explosive anger is a sign of a man who is overwhelmed and underhealed. Strength is not in the explosion. Strength is in the self-control that prevents it. The damage anger does to children. Anger in the home affects a child far more than adults realize. A child who grows up around explosive anger may experience low confidence, difficulty expressing emotions, fear of authority, anxiety or nervousness, people-pleasing behavior, anger issues of their own, emotional shutdown, fear of sharing mistakes, feeling never good enough. A father's outbursts teach a dangerous belief. Love is unstable. Love can turn into danger at any minute. This belief can follow a child for a lifetime into friendships, relationships, and even their own parenting. Breaking the cycle of anger, many men learned anger from their fathers. They grew up watching shouting, tension, and fear. They grew up thinking this is normal, but this is where a new kind of father must rise. A father who says, "I will not let my childhood control my children's childhood. I will end the cycle, not repeat it. I will give my children peace, not fear." Breaking generational patterns is not easy. It requires awareness, humility, and change. But it is possible, and it begins with intention. Anger is usually about something else. Most explosions of anger are not caused by children. They are triggered by stress the father never processed. Work pressure, financial stress, insecurity, unresolved trauma, lack of rest, feeling unappreciated, frustration with himself, overwhelming responsibility. A father may say, "You made me angry," but often the truth is, "I did not manage my emotions." Understanding the root of your anger is the first step to controlling it. Strength looks like calm. The strongest fathers are not the loudest. They are the calmest. Calmness is discipline. Calmness is emotional maturity. Calmness is leadership. Calmness is safety. When a father stays calm, children feel secure. Arguments de-escalate, respect increases, communication becomes clearer, mistakes become learning moments. A calm man is in control of his world. An angry man is controlled by it. Practicing emotional control. Emotional control is a skill. You are not born with it, you develop it. Here are simple steps that help. 1. Pause before reacting. A few seconds of silence can prevent minutes of regret. 2. Lower your voice intentionally. A calm voice creates instant safety. Children listen more to quiet than they do to shouting. 3. Walk away if needed. Leaving the room is better than losing control. 4. Apologize when you make mistakes. This does not weaken your authority, it strengthens your humanity. 5. Communicate. Don't explode. Explain what upset you. Explain what behavior you want. Explain why it matters. Guidance works better than punishment. What children learn from a calm father. A calm father teaches his children how to regulate emotions, how to handle conflict, how to communicate respectfully, how to manage stress, how to stay grounded, how to choose patience, how to remain strong without being violent. Your emotional control becomes their emotional blueprint. They learn how to respond to life by watching how you respond to them. A final truth: anger does not make you strong. Control does. Shouting does not make you respected. Consistency does. Fear does not make you a leader. Love does. A father who manages his emotions gives his children a home of safety, connection, and peace. And in that peace they grow into confident, emotionally healthy adults. Chapter 5. Leading by example. Children don't follow advice, they copy behavior. A father's words may echo for a moment, but his actions echo for a lifetime. You can lecture a child 1,000 times, repeat the same lessons every morning, or fill their ears with endless rules. But in the end, they absorb what they see, not what they hear. A dad's true influence does not come from instructions, it comes from demonstration. Every father, whether he realizes it or not, is always teaching. Not in the moments he chooses, but in the moments he doesn't. Not when he sits down for a serious talk, but when he is simply living. Your habits become your child's blueprint. Your reactions become their emotional language. Your standards become the boundaries they carry into adulthood. Your life is the silent classroom they never leave. Children walk in the footprints you leave behind. A good father understands that little eyes are always watching. These wounds shape the man, and the man shapes the father. A father does not raise a child from his intentions. He raises a child from his condition. If a man is emotionally damaged, overwhelmed, angry, insecure, or unhealed, he does not leave his pain behind when he becomes a father. He brings it into the home. It leaks into his tone, his decisions, his reactions, his habits, and his relationships. A man who has not healed his own trauma will unconsciously pass it on. Not through desire, but through default. Healing the man inside you is the greatest gift you can give the father you are trying to be. Your childhood becomes your parenting blueprint. Many men grew up under fathers who were harsh, silent, distant, or angry. Their fathers may have been present physically but absent emotionally. They may have been providers but not protectors, strict but not supportive. A man who grows up in a home where affection is rare, apology is a weakness, and communication is minimal often enters fatherhood without the tools he needs. It is not that he does not love his children. It is that he repeats what was handed to him. Children don't just inherit eye color and height. They inherit patterns, wounds, and behaviors, unless a father makes a conscious choice to break the cycle. Unhealed men parent through their pain. A man who is unhealed does not parent from intention, he parents from reaction. A father with unresolved anger becomes easily triggered. A father with deep insecurities becomes overly controlling. A father with abandonment issues becomes emotionally unavailable. A father who was never affirmed struggles to affirm his own children. A father who never received gentleness finds it hard to show compassion. A father who was shamed becomes a father who shames. The pain you ignore becomes the pain you transfer. This is why healing is not optional. It is a responsibility. Your children don't need a perfect father. They need a whole one. Many men believe their wounds disqualify them from being good fathers, but the truth is different. Children don't need a flawless father. They need a father who is emotionally steady, a father who shows them how to handle difficulty, a father who doesn't collapse under pressure, a father who can love without fear, a father who can guide without exploding, a father who can apologize without shame. A whole father is not a man without pain. He is a man who refuses to let pain control him. Children are not destroyed by a father who struggles. They are destroyed by a father who never tries to heal. Healing begins when a man faces himself. The hardest fight a man ever fights is not against the world. It is against himself. Healing starts with honesty. Why do I react so quickly? Why do I shut down during conflict? Why do I feel threatened by my child's emotions? Why is patience so hard for me? Why does responsibility feel heavy? Why do I fear vulnerability? These questions are uncomfortable, but a man who asks them is already growing. A man who reflects is a man who rises. You cannot fix what you refuse to confront. Your pain is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. You did not choose your childhood. You did not choose your father's failures. You did not choose the trauma life gave you, but your children did not choose theirs either. Healing is not about blame. It is about breaking the cycle. A healed man does not repeat what harmed him. He transforms it. He uses his story as wisdom. He uses his wounds as perspective. He uses his past as fuel for a better future. Generational trauma ends where generational courage begins. Learning the skills you were never taught. Some men have to teach themselves what they were never shown. How to express emotions without exploding, how to communicate without shutting down, how to apologize without feeling weak, how to respect others. Boundaries, how to forgive themselves, how to be patient, how to love without fear, how to stay calm under pressure. These skills do not come naturally to every man. And that is okay. Being a father is not about having every answer. It is about having the humility to learn. You cannot change your past, but you can rise above it by choosing growth. Healing strengthens your relationships. A healed father becomes a better partner. He listens without defensiveness. He apologizes without ego. He communicates without aggression. He loves without insecurity. He supports without resentment. He leads without dominating. A healthy relationship becomes the foundation your children grow upon. When a man heals, his family breathes easier. The home becomes calmer. The communication becomes clearer. The environment becomes safer. Your healing is not self-focused. It benefits every person you love. Your children deserve a father who can feel without breaking. Children learn emotional regulation from their father's example. A healed father teaches how to handle stress without rage, how to express sadness without shame, how to admit mistakes without fear, how to talk through conflict without screaming, how to love without conditions. Your emotional stability becomes their emotional safety. A father who cannot manage his emotions forces his child to manage them for him. A father who heals his emotions frees his child to be a child. Healing the man creates a new generation. When a man heals himself, something extraordinary happens. His sons grow up emotionally stronger. His daughters grow up emotionally safer. The family patterns shift. The emotional climate improves. The future becomes brighter. A healed man does not raise perfect children. He raises healthy ones. He gives them what he never had, a father who sees them clearly, loves them deeply, and guides them gently. He gives them what every child deserves, a father who is present not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Your healing is your legacy. The greatest inheritance you can give your children is not money. It is emotional stability. It is wisdom. It is maturity. It is peace. It is a heart that has learned to love without fear. Your children may not understand your healing journey now, but they will grow up and feel the difference. One day they will say, "My father was not perfect, but he healed himself so he could protect us from the pain he carried." That is the legacy of a courageous man. That is the legacy of a great father. Heal the man, and you transform the father. Heal the father, and you change the entire family's future. Chapter 8. Sacrifice versus selfishness. Great fathers give up comfort to build a better future. Every father arrives at a crossroad the moment he becomes responsible for another life. One path is comfortable, easy, and self-centered. The other path is demanding, disciplined, and often exhausting. But it is the path that builds a future for his children. Selfish men create broken generations. Sacrificial men create strong ones. A father's love is proven not by what he says, but by what he is willing to give up. Comfort is easy. Sacrifice is leadership. Anyone can enjoy comfort. Anyone can seek pleasure, ease, and convenience. But a father with true character chooses something different. He wakes up early when his body wants sleep. He goes to work when his heart feels tired. He keeps going when life becomes overwhelming. He puts his children's future above his own comfort. Comfort creates weak men. Sacrifice creates strong fathers. A selfish man thinks about today. A wise father thinks about tomorrow. Selfishness feels good now, but it costs a lot later. A selfish father avoids responsibility. He spends money on himself before his children. He makes decisions based on what he wants, not what his family needs. He avoids growth because growth requires discomfort. He walks away when things get hard. Selfish choices feel good in the moment, but they destroy trust, stability, and security. A selfish man sees parenting as a burden. A great father sees it as his purpose. Children raised under selfish fathers learn to fear instability. Children raised under sacrificial fathers learn to trust life. Every sacrifice a father makes becomes a seed. A father's sacrifice is never wasted. Children may not understand it at the time, but they grow up surrounded by the results of his choices. Every hour he works, every desire he postpones, every comfort he gives up, every tear he holds back, every dream he delays becomes a seed planted in the soil of their future. One day those seeds bloom into confidence, stability, opportunities, education, protection, discipline, safety, strength. A selfish father consumes everything. A sacrificial father plants everything. Sacrifice does not mean suffering quietly. Being a sacrificial father does not mean abandoning your emotional needs. It does not mean being miserable. It does not mean destroying your mental health. Sacrifice is not self-destruction. It is self-discipline. It means giving up what is unnecessary so you can protect what is essential. You don't have to sacrifice your identity, your joy, or your sanity. But you must sacrifice laziness, ego, short-term pleasure, impulsive decisions, selfish habits, irresponsible choices. Sacrifice is not about losing yourself. It is about becoming the strongest version of yourself. Selfish men escape. Strong men stay. A selfish man avoids difficulty. When challenges show up, he runs. When responsibility becomes heavy, he hides. When conflict arises, he explodes or shuts down. He prefers freedom without burden, pleasure without accountability. But strong fathers do the opposite. They stay. They endure. They confront challenges head-on. They push through hardship because their family depends on them. A father's strength is not measured by his muscles, but by his willingness to stay when everything becomes hard. Sacrifice teaches children what love looks like. Children watch everything. When a child sees his father wake up early, they learn discipline. When they see him save instead of waste, they learn responsibility. When they see him speak respectfully, they learn character. When they see him put family first, they learn what real love is. A father's sacrifices become a living example. A selfish father ruins trust. A sacrificial father builds a legacy. You can't teach a child about commitment if you don't show it. You can't teach them about sacrifice if you avoid it. You can't teach them about love if you only serve yourself. Children don't need a perfect father. They need a present one. Many fathers believe sacrifice is about money or physical effort. But some of the greatest sacrifices are emotional. Listening when you're tired, staying calm when you want to explode, apologizing when your ego screams not to, choosing patience over anger, giving time when you crave silence, showing love even on your worst days. These are the sacrifices that shape a child's heart. Selfish fathers are emotionally absent. Sacrificial fathers are emotionally present. A father's sacrifice builds a foundation for the future. A child raised by a sacrificial father grows up knowing, I am protected. I am supported. I am worth effort. I can trust someone. I know what real love looks like. These are the beliefs that create emotionally stable adults. A child raised by a selfish father grows up feeling, I'm on my own. Love disappears when things get hard. People care only about themselves. These beliefs damage relationships, their future family, and their inner peace. The father decides the foundation his children stand on. Sacrifice builds legacy. Most fathers hope their children will have a better life than they did. But hope alone is not enough. Better futures are built by long nights, early mornings, hard choices, disciplined actions, painful sacrifices, quiet efforts. Nobody sees a selfish father leaves problems for his children to solve. A sacrificial father solves problems so his children can rise higher. One day, your child will realize, my dad gave up so much so I could have more. That realization becomes gratitude. That gratitude becomes respect. That respect becomes the legacy of a great father. Your sacrifice today is your child's strength tomorrow. A father's sacrifice might not be appreciated today. But years later, when your child grows up, they will understand. They will appreciate the nights you came home tired but still smiled. They will remember the moments you chose them over comfort. They will value the times you put aside your desires for their sake. They will imitate the discipline you lived by. They will respect the strength you showed. And the greatest reward of a sacrificial father is this. Your children become strong, disciplined, loving adults because you showed them what love looks like. You gave up comfort, and in return you gave them a future. Chapter 9, The Power of Apology. Saying I'm sorry teaches humility and humanity. There is a moment in every father's life when he realizes something uncomfortable. No matter how much he loves his children, he will still make mistakes. Not because he is bad, careless, or unloving, but because he is human. Yet what separates a good father from a bad father is not the absence of mistakes. It is the response after the mistake. A good dad apologizes. A bad dad pretends nothing happened. A good dad says, I'm sorry. A bad dad says, you'll get over it. A good dad fixes the damage. A bad dad hides behind pride, and this difference shapes a child's heart forever. The myth of the perfect father. Many men grow up believing that apologizing makes them weak. They think fathers must always be right, always in control, always dominant. They believe that showing vulnerability means losing authority. But this belief is a lie that destroys families quietly. A father doesn't lose respect when he apologizes. He gains it, because a child sees the truth anyway. Children notice when they are wronged. They feel when they are hurt. They remember when the person they love most refuses to acknowledge their pain. When a father pretends he never makes mistakes, he creates distance. His children begin to hide their emotions. They learn to become silent. They build walls instead of trust. But when a father says, I'm sorry, he teaches something far greater than perfection. He teaches humanity. Children learn love through repair. Every relationship experiences conflict. Every household has moments of tension. Every father will raise his voice, act unfairly, or lose his patience at times. The key is not to erase conflict. The key is repair. A child doesn't need a flawless father. A child needs a father who knows how to mend. When a father apologizes, the child learns. Mistakes are normal. Love can be repaired. Emotions are safe. Communication is possible. Forgiveness is powerful. This becomes the foundation of the child's future relationships. A father who apologizes raises children who know how to apologize. A father who avoids responsibility raises children who avoid accountability. Your apology doesn't just heal the moment, it shapes your child's emotional intelligence for life. The damage of an unapologetic father. A father who never apologizes teaches his children painful lessons. Your feelings don't matter. My ego is more important than your heart. Power means never admitting you're wrong. Love is one-sided. I do what I want and you must tolerate it. Children raised under such fathers often grow up with anxiety, low self-worth, anger issues, difficulty trusting, a fear of expressing emotions, a belief that they must earn love. The wound caused by a father's silence often hurts more than the mistake itself. A slammed door is forgotten. A harsh word fades, but the refusal to acknowledge the pain, that stays. A father may think apologizing makes him smaller, but to a child, refusing to apologize makes him distant. A father's apology can change everything. There are countless stories of fathers who waited too long to say, "I'm sorry." Some waited until their children were adults. Some waited until their children had already drifted away. Some waited until the day they were completely alone. But there are also stories of fathers who changed everything with one moment of courage. A father walks into his child's room, sits quietly, and says, "I hurt you yesterday. I shouldn't have spoken that way. I'm sorry." Do you know what usually happens? The child cries, the child softens, the child feels seen, the child forgives, because children don't expect perfection. They expect love, they expect honesty, they expect humility. A simple apology can restore years of emotional distance. It can bring back trust, warmth, and connection. A father who says, "I'm sorry," is not weak, he is wise. Apology is a form of leadership. Leadership is not about dominance. It is about responsibility. A father who apologizes leads with character. He shows his children that strength is not the absence of weakness, but the courage to face it. He teaches accountability, emotional maturity, integrity, respect, compassion, self-awareness, and when children grow up under such leadership, they naturally become better. Partners, parents, friends, human beings, your apology becomes their template for adulthood. How to apologize as a father. A real apology has 3 parts. 1, acknowledgement. I know I hurt you when I shouted. 2, responsibility. It wasn't your fault. I reacted badly. 3, repair. I'm going to try to do better next time. What you should not say, "I'm sorry, but you made me angry." "Fine, I said sorry. Are you happy?" "You're too sensitive. Let's just forget it." These are not apologies. These are excuses hiding inside apology clothing. A true apology shows emotional strength, not weakness. When a father apologizes, a child feels safe. A safe child expresses emotions, trusts the father, shares problems, talks openly, feels valued, grows confident. Your apology tells your child, "I see you. I hear you. You matter to me." This is the foundation of deep emotional security. A father who apologizes gives his children the gift of emotional freedom. You don't lose authority, you gain it. Some fathers fear that apologizing makes them look small. But the opposite is true. A father who apologizes earns respect, builds trust, strengthens love, becomes a role model, creates emotional intimacy, becomes a safe place. Children don't respect perfect fathers. They respect honest ones. Authority built on fear collapses. Authority built on love endures. A father's apology is not about guilt, it is about guidance. It is not about weakness, it is about wisdom. It is not about losing power, it is about gaining connection. Your children don't want a flawless father. They want a father who cares enough to admit his flaws. Because when you say, "I'm sorry," you're not just repairing a moment, you're building a legacy. Chapter 10, Legacy. What remains after you're gone? Your character will be remembered long after your name is forgotten. A man spends his life chasing many things: money, status, comfort, recognition. But when the final chapter of his life closes, none of these are what his children remember. They don't talk about the car he drove. They don't list the brands he wore. They don't mention his bank balance. They remember how he made them feel. Legacy isn't the wealth you leave, it's the warmth you leave. The wisdom, the guidance, the memories, the example. A father's life becomes his children's blueprint. His habits become their expectations. His values become their compass. His character becomes their inheritance. And when a father understands this, he begins living not just for himself, but for the generations that will carry his name long after he is gone. The silent influence of a father. Fathers often underestimate how deeply their presence shapes a child's world. They think the big moments matter most: birthdays, achievements, rewards. But in truth, it's the quiet, consistent moments that shape the soul. The gentle pat on the back, the smile after a long day, the silent nod of approval, the patient lesson, the calm voice during chaos. These moments become stories children carry for life. They become internal voices guiding them in adulthood. A father who shows patience teaches calmness. A father who shows integrity teaches honesty. A father who shows courage teaches resilience. A father who shows compassion teaches empathy. A good father leaves behind a legacy not of things, but of virtues. The legacy of character. You may not be the richest father. You may not be the strongest. You may not be the most educated, but none of that defines your legacy. Your character does. Children watch how you deal with stress. They notice how you treat people. They absorb how you handle conflict. They remember the way you speak to their mother. They observe how you react when life collapses. If a father curses under pressure, he raises children who panic under pressure. If a father lies, he raises children who hide the truth. If a father quits easily, he raises children who avoid difficulty. But if a father stands firm even when afraid, he raises brave children. If he works hard even when tired, he raises determined children. If he apologizes even when his pride hurts, he raises emotionally intelligent children. And if he loves honestly, consistently, and deeply, he raises children who know how to love. This is the legacy of character, a legacy no money can buy. The generational impact of a good father. A father doesn't just shape his children, he shapes his grandchildren, and even their children. A gentle father creates a gentle lineage. A wise father creates a wise bloodline. A responsible father creates responsible generations. Your daily decisions ripple into the future long after your body becomes dust. When a father breaks a toxic cycle, abuse, neglect, addiction, anger, he becomes the first man in the family who chose healing over hurting. He becomes the ancestor future generations thank silently. A good father is a bridge between a painful past and a hopeful future. That is the true power of legacy. Your actions become their stories. One day your child will tell stories about you. What do you want those stories to sound like? Will they say, "My father scared me. My father was always angry. My father never had time for me. My father cared more about money than us"? Or will they say, "My father protected us. My father taught me how to be strong. My father was patient even when tired. My father loved us without conditions"? Your actions today become your children's memories tomorrow. Your choices today become your legacy tomorrow. You're writing your story every day, even when you're not speaking. Wealth fades, values remain, money can disappear. Jobs can be lost, material things can break, property can change hands. But the values a father teaches remain engraved in a child's heart forever. A father who teaches. Discipline gives his child structure, honesty gives his child clarity, faith gives his child hope, kindness gives his child purpose, humility gives his child balance, gratitude gives his child peace. You may leave your children money, but if you leave them without values, they will lose both. If you leave them values, even if they lose money, they will rise again. Because values build resilience. Values build character. Values build legacy. The day you're no longer here, one day your child will stand in a room filled with memories of you. Maybe they will hold your watch, maybe your old jacket, maybe a photo where you smiled at them, but the objects won't matter. What will matter is the feeling behind them. Did your child feel loved? Did they feel safe? Did they feel understood? Did they feel guided? Did you give them something real to hold on to? Legacy is the emotional fingerprint you leave on the hearts that loved you. Long after your voice is silent, long after your footsteps fade from the house, long after your chair sits empty, your influence will still speak. Because love does not die, character does not disappear, wisdom does not fade, a father's legacy survives him. Living with the end in mind, a wise father thinks beyond today. He asks himself, what kind of man do I want remembered as? What values do I want my children to carry? What pain can I heal now so they don't repeat it? What example do I leave behind? Legacy is built in small choices, waking up early, showing up when tired, controlling anger, protecting the family, providing guidance, listening without judgment, saying I'm proud of you, saying I love you. These are the building blocks of the kind of father who will be remembered. Closing message of the book: a man's name may be forgotten, but his character echoes through generations. Your children won't remember everything you said, but they will never forget how you lived. Your habits become their patterns, your decisions become their foundation, your values become their inner voice. This is the legacy of a father, and every day you are alive, you are writing it. Choose the legacy your children will carry long after you're gone. Your son grows into your habits, and your daughter chooses love based on your character. When you're gone, it's not your money they remember, it's your legacy. Every man must decide. Will you leave the world as a good dad or disappear as a bad dad? If you want more powerful audiobooks like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Power Within Audio. Your support keeps this journey alive.